I'm just kidding. Both my parents know well and good that they are fair game, shall we say. But, since it is Father's Day, obviously this is going to be a Father's Day sermon. If you have this, then this is what tends to follow. If you have this, an infant will be healthier. They'll gain weight at a much more increased rate. They'll be more apt to breastfeed, which is typically more healthy for a child if possible. As a child begins to grow into an adult, if they have this, they will be better emotionally, that is, able to handle their emotions better, express their emotions more effectively. They'll be better academically. They'll be better socially in how they interact with people their own age, people above their age, and people below their age. They'll be better behaviorally. If they have this, a child is much more likely to either enter into college or enter into the workplace successfully immediately following high school. They are 75% less likely to have a teen pregnancy and birth. They are 80% less likely to spend time in jail, and half as likely to experience symptoms of depression. Those who have this generally have higher levels of confidence, self-control, much less likely to be seen as troublemakers in school. People with this are 43% more likely to have higher academic grades, 33% less likely to have to repeat a grade. The presence of this will decrease delinquency, will lower economic disadvantage, or if you want the opposite, will strengthen a person's ability to be economically viable when they reach adulthood. And this is especially true in lower income families. In other words, if you have this, a father, you are going to be much better off economically. Do all those things sound pretty good? If you have a father, an active, present, nurturing, guiding father, all of these things tend to be true. For those of us who are Christians, who are Christian fathers, something else needs to be said to you. If a father goes to church regularly, between 2/3 and 3/4 of their children will become churchgoers and remain so throughout their lives. The statistics for mothers is unfortunately significantly less than that. Men, this morning I'm going to be talking to you. Ladies, please don't tune me out here, because many of you have fathers and grandfathers, husbands in your life, maybe even your sons, maybe even your grandsons who are fathers, and you need to be able to encourage them to be the kind of men, to be the kind of fathers that God's calling them to be. Maybe you're a man right now and you go, well, I don't have any kids. This doesn't apply to me. It does. Fatherhood is not about biology. My father is here. He's a great dad. I love him. I owe a lot of my personality. I certainly owe my good looks to him. He's great. I'm very glad that he's my father. But I will also tell you, I have many other fathers that have been fathers to me. They're not my biological dad, but they've been good men to me. I would like to include my father-in-law. I think of him as a second father. Fatherhood is not just biology. In fact, I would encourage us men to think beyond fatherhood of my own children and to think in terms of the context of every boy right here. I say boy because, let's be honest, men, most of us, 13 kind of maxes out our maturity level, right? We're all boys at heart. We need men and boys to help us on our journey. We need good fathers in our lives. And to help us think about this biblically scripturally, I want to take you to a well-known, well, it's a book that's well-known, but not for fathers. We're going to be in the book of Hosea. Most of you that are well-trained in biblical understanding, you look at what I just said to you. We're going to talk about fathers, we're going to go to Hosea, and you're probably scratching your head going, what? There's two primary images that are used throughout the book of Hosea. The first is what most everybody probably jumps to pretty quickly, which is God is telling Hosea to go and marry a harlot, to go and marry a prostitute. The reason for that is because God is trying to show Israel what their relationship to Him is like. God uses the marital relationship. And of course, Israel has gone astray and they're not faithful. They're not going to be faithful. And Hosea, his marriage works out pretty similar to that. But a lesser known descriptor of God in the book of Hosea is that of the father or the parent figure to the child. And I think it is absolutely powerful the way Hosea describes this kind of relationship between God and His children. In fact, if we think forward to Jesus, the number one way Jesus describes God is as Father. That should tell us something right there. We're going to be in Hosea chapter 11. Hosea chapter 11. We'll be in verse 1. We'll read down through verse 11. Hosea chapter 1, beginning in verse 11. This morning I'll be reading from the NIV. Just a little bit easier to read and follow, I think. Hosea chapter 11, verses 1 through 11. When Israel was a child, I loved him. And out of Egypt I called my son. But the more they were called, the more they went away from me. They sacrificed to the Baals. They burned incense to images. It was I who taught Ephraim to walk, taking them up by my arms. They did not realize it. It was I who healed them. I led them with cords of human kindness and with ties of love. To them I was like one who lifts a child to the cheek. If you have a different translation, there's an issue with understanding and what particularly is happening. There were some Hebrew words. Others will carry the idea of a yoke of bondage. I will make their work light. Continue on in the next part here. And I bent down to feed them. Verse 7. My people, my children, are determined to turn from me. And even though they call me God Most High, I will by no means exalt them. How can I give you up, Ephraim? How can I hand you over, Israel? How can I treat you like a bomb? How can I make you like Zeboim? My heart is changed within me. My compassion is aroused. I will not carry out my fierce anger, nor will I devastate Ephraim again. For I am God and not a man, the Holy One among you. I will not come against their cities, but they will follow the Lord. He will roar like a lion. And when he roars, his children will come trembling from the west. They will come from Egypt trembling like sparrows, from Assyria fluttering like doves, and I will settle them to their homes, declares the Lord. If you're following along the bulletin, number one, fathers, what we need to learn from God the Father is this here this morning. Number one, be present in the life of your children. God is there for His children, the nation of Israel. I want you to look at some of the descriptors that God uses to describe how He works with His children. The first one, I taught you how to walk. You ever teach a child how to walk? What do you got to do? Well, normally you've got to hold their arms, right? And you sometimes you let them stand on your feet. You kind of help them along. You walk. What is that? That's personal. Sometimes a child learns to walk and they don't have a lot of control, so they step down real hard. Just 20 pounds on the big right toe hurts, doesn't it? It's personal. God says, I heal you, fathers, mothers. How many times you put a Band-Aid on the boo-boo? A lot of times. Sometimes you put a Band-Aid on something, you don't really need a Band-Aid, right? Because you care. Because you're present. It was I who healed them. You have the description, I led them. Fathers, you ever take your children places? Sometimes it's places they don't want to go. Yesterday, my children experienced that. It was a pretty Father's Day, so we went where I wanted to go. It was good for them, hopefully. Sometimes you take them to places they don't want to go. Fathers, you ever take your kids to school? My dad took me to school sometimes. My mom took me to school, probably more than that. But sometimes Dad would take me to school. I'll be honest with you, didn't want to go. But my parents made me go. You know why? It's good for me. Our fathers lead us where we need to be. To them, I was like one who lifts up a little child to the cheek. You ever picked up a kid, you held him close to your face, and then you bounce him on your knee, and you love it on him? My father came home from work one day, he had a brand new suit on, he did this. My mother tried to warn him that I'd not been feeling great all day. Guess what happened? Brand new suit. The cost of being close. Memories we'll cherish. I'll cherish. I don't know that my dad will cherish them. But I remember. That's what God does with His children. If you have an ESV or some other different translations talking about makes the work easy or takes off the yoke and makes it light. In other words, fathers have the ability to make our work easy or make it difficult and hard. Not in the sense that this job is hard and this job is easy, but in the sense of the work can become enjoyable. I think of Dickens with Scrooge. I almost said Scrooge McDuck, but Scrooge in The Christmas Carol. And he's remembering back to Fezziwig, his first job, and he remarks to the ghost of Christmas past how the man made the work light. Was it easy work? No, it was very difficult and challenging work. But there was a joy to it. And that's what is being described here with this yoke being easy. Fathers, you have the ability to make work easy or hard or heavy for your children. The same job. The same task. But God makes our work a joy. Then you have the descriptor here, I bent down to feed them. You ever fed a child? It's not clean work, right? You're going to get messy. Sometimes you wonder how much has actually gone into the child versus how much is on you. That's work. And beautiful work that it is. And God tells us all of these describing things about His nature with His people, with His children. And it reminds us that we must be fathers who are present with our children. I want to give you some examples of what that presence might look like today. Number one, you help your children with their work. This can be chores. You can be guiding them in how to do it. How to be grow into successful adults who can take care of themselves. It can be homework. Dad, you ever sat with your children and tried to learn new math? Oh, I'm not excited about new math. Okay? But it'll be there. Maybe it's watching them take those first steps. Maybe it's feeding them. Maybe it's going outside, horsing around and wrestling, having fun. I think if you were to ask God what He wanted from His children, it's not to have to grieve over them. We'll talk about that. It's not to have that turmoil in Him. He wants to be with His children. I fed you. I taught you to walk. I want to be with you. Sometimes just being together, going on a road trip, going somewhere. Doesn't have to be far. Being with each other. Whatever it is, be there with your children. The second thing that really dovetails pretty well with this, and really maybe even you could pick it up from the concept of just presence itself, but be an active father. You know, in Hosea, we find God. God isn't sitting off on the sidelines somewhere going, boy, I hope my kids figure it out. God is in the thick of it. He's working. He's a part. In fact, He's the lead character. Dads, don't you want to be the hero? Speaking as a dad, I want to be the hero to my kids. I kind of like to be the hero to other people too, but at least to my kids, you are. Whether you're a dad who's 90, or whether you're a dad who's 25, you've got an opportunity to be a hero to your kids. You've got to be active with them. We talked about some active things you can do with your children, but one of the things that I want to encourage you fathers to be active with your children is in the activeness of raising them to be godly. That is your responsibility. Let me say that again then. Fathers, you and I have a responsibility to raise our children spiritually. I'm not saying mothers don't have that responsibility. You do. But fathers, it's all too easy for us. We can farm that out to someone else. Don't you dare do it. And speaking of this particular issue, Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 5, Moses speaking to the people of Israel about the way that fathers should nurture and teach their children. Listen to this. You shall love the Lord your God with all of your heart, with all your soul, all your might. And these words that I command you today shall be on your heart. You shall teach them to your children diligently. You shall talk of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, when you lie down, when you rise. You will bind them on you as a sign of your hand, and they shall be a frontlets between your eyes. You shall write them on the doorpost of your home and on your gates. You think God is concerned about you teaching your children spiritually? Absolutely. And you can do it. I know you can. I know you can do it. If you need some help, what does it look like? Well, you can go through and you can read Deuteronomy chapter 6, and you can see all the places and all the times where you ought to be talking with your children about God and His Word and His laws. If you want something else, let me suggest this to you. You ready? It's going to be earth-shattering. Pray with your children. Dads, when was the last time, I'm not talking about lunch or dinner, when was the last time you sat down, you spent some time, you prayed with your children? Again, be those children the age of 3, or be those children the age of 65. Pray with your children. If you need to, get a schedule going. I like schedules. I have alarm clocks that go off and remind me of certain things. It helps me stay ordered, helps me stay on track. Dads, I know you're busy. I know there are a lot of demands on your time. Things pulling you this way, things pulling you that way. You got your job, you got this, you got to schedule it in. And that's okay. Do things. Pray with your children. Dad, when was the last time you read Scripture with your kids? Just sit down, read, think about it together. When was the last time you shared open and honestly some struggles you had with your children? Now, I know some kids may not be ready to talk about that. They may still see their parents as perfect. But the time is coming, parents, when you got to be honest with your kids. Maybe you don't tell them the whole story. Maybe they're not ready for that. But you're honest with them. That's not perfect. When was the last time you apologized? As you make mistakes. To be an active father, you've got to be a father who's willing to say, I'm sorry. That's hard. My wife doing that. We need to. When was the last time, fathers, you encouraged your children? I don't mean encouragement at the end of a paddle or at the end of a grounding. I mean encouragement in terms of getting grades. For me, I can have a tendency to look at something that a child of mine does and go, oh, that's pretty good. You probably could have done better. I missed the mark, didn't I? What I should say is it's great. It's wonderful. Thank you. Dads, when was the last time you were appreciative to your kids? You can be. And it will make a lasting impression on your children for a lifetime. And for, as a Christian, far beyond that as well. Finally, number 3 for us, be a guiding father. You know, the latter part of Hosea chapter 11 is sad. God's children they're going away from Him. You know, he starts off with that, but then he moves to some wonderful imagery of the father and the children. But then it's this: my children they've gone astray. They've left me. Some of you know what that's like, parents. Child is raised up and go away. Sometimes the child is still at home and they go astray. And in the book of Hosea, we find God almost as if He's having some kind of internal discussion amongst Himself, trying to figure out, what am I supposed to do with you? On the one hand, I need to punish you, but I don't want to. Most fathers that I know don't get real excited about punishment time. I don't. Most of the time, we kind of want to put it off and do everything we can not to have to do it. We kind of see God doing something similar to this. I know what needs to be done. I don't want to punish you. How can I do this to you, Ephraim? How can I do this to you, Israel? My heart is torn within me. My compassion grows. But ultimately what God does is He recognizes what any good father does, is that a child needs to be guided. Needs to have direction. Must have direction. I think of the time a gentleman at the church I grew up at, he called me aside. I was 17 at the time. Oh, we need to talk. He laid out something for me that I'd done that was wrong. To be frank with you, my parents had told me 100 times that this was an issue. Maybe not that many times. But like most good teenagers, I listened to them, right? No, that's why this gentleman is now taking over. He corrected me. He guided me. I know it wasn't easy for him to do it. I I've been in his shoes since then. It's miserable. But it's necessary. Fatherhood is not an easy task, but it's your task. The role that God has given to you. It is your job to help nurture and to help guide children in the way they are to go. What's a whole lot easier when that guidance says, "Boy, that was fantastic. Keep doing that. Boy, isn't that exciting, dads? You get to celebrate the accomplishments of your children. Boy, you love your just do more of that. More of that, and that is wonderful." God give you many of those days. But there will be those days where you have to step in as the father and say, "Not right. Time to change." And you have to help your kids along in that change process. You have to be there. You have to be active. You have to be a part. And when we do that, and when we emulate this type of fatherhood for our children, they can catch a glimpse, and we can catch a glimpse of God's relationship with us as human beings. Summing it up, what do we need from our fathers? A father must be present in the life of their children. A father must be active in the lives of their children, especially as it relates to their spiritual growth and development. And the father must guide their children. And that doesn't stop when the child turns 18. The truth is you're a dad for the rest of your life. Buckle up, it's a bumpy ride. But it'll be a ride well worth taking together. Fathers, happy Father's Day. May God bless you. May God bless you with wonderful, wonderful things from your family, your children, and may you be the father that God created you to be. It is within you. It is within each and every one of you to be like your Father in heaven. Not that we'll attain perfection. We won't. Not that we'll be the best all the time. We won't. But we will strive towards it nonetheless. That we can be the men God calls us to be. I hope this morning, fathers, we take encouragement from God, our Father, to be who we are to be. Ultimately, the greatest example of what a father does for his children is to lay down his life for his children. Fathers, how many of you wouldn't do this for your wife, for your children? We would happily do it, right? If my children need me, I would lay down my life. That's what Christ Jesus has done for each and every one of us. Motivated by his love, he laid down his life, but he took it up again. God resurrected him from the dead that we might be saved from our sins. God did that for you and I. And perhaps this morning you're not a Christian. You need to know God the Father loves you. He died for you. That you can be redeemed. If you need to hear more, then please come talk to me afterwards. If you already know what you need to do, then please come forward. Have those sins washed away in baptism. Be born again as a child of God. If you have a need, then please come. Let's together stand. Let's together stand.